Chair will now entertain a motion to receive and file item 260744, the case disposition summary report, civil rights and towards labor and employment. That motion is made by Commissioner Trevor, second by Commissioner Rita. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Thank you, Chair. The ayes have it. Chair will now entertain a motion to approve item 260745, 260746, 260747, 260749, 260750, and 260771. That motion is made by Commissioner Stance, second by Commissioner Trevor. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Nay. I never did that. Now it's going to go. Motion I received tonight. 260753, 260753, 260754, 260755, 260756, 260757, and 260772. That motion is made by Commissioner Rita, seconded by Commissioner Stance. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Those nay. There's a motion to suspend the vote. Take up item 260772 as noticed in the supplemental agenda. That motion to suspend the rules. Trevor, second by Rita. All those in favor of suspending the rules, signify by saying aye. Chair, the ayes have it. The chair will now entertain a motion to receive and file item 260772. That motion is made by Commissioner Rita, second by Commissioner Stance. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Thank you, the chair. The ayes have it. There being no further business for this committee, Trevor moves to adjourn, second by Commissioner Rita. All those in favor of adjournment, signify by saying aye. Those nay, the chair, the ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Yeah.
This is gonna be interesting. Maybe I could sit right here. Oh.
Hour each 10:30.
Ooh, transportation committee.
Mr. Britton,
Here.
Mr. Daly, Mr. Devon, Mr. Bean, Mr. Laurie. Commissioner Clark, Commissioner Miller is absent. Commissioner Miller. Commissioner Kevin Watson. Commissioner Scott. Commissioner Stams. Commissioner Carver. Here. Commissioner Vasquez. Seniors is here. And Commissioner Davis is here. There's another one. The following to have the policy. Commissioner Laurie. Commissioner Nair. Excuse Miller is absent. Excuse absences for Wilson. Commissioner Scott is absent. Commissioner Vasquez is not. I will.
The meeting of transportation committee. So I mean, says so called. Making sure.
Oh.
The legislation's next. So it's a the hour 10:45, having arrived, meeting of legislation and government wishes committees and board issues in order. And secretary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Aguilar.
Here.
Commissioner Naya. Absent. Commissioner Daly.
Transportation. Oh, they don't want to talk about the transportation. I'm gonna talk about the transportation.
Absent. Commissioner McCaskill. Says you, Commissioner Miller. It's absent. Commissioner Moore.
Present.
Present. Thank you, Commissioner Rita. Present. Thank you. Commissioner Kevin and Tom Morris. Commissioner Scott. Absent. Commissioner Stamps. Present. Commissioner Chambers. Commissioner Vasquez. Is absent. Mr. Chair is present. No, I'm back. That means,
I am gonna then call, we have, I am gonna call for public speakers, but, I'm only gonna take one public speaker at this point, and then I'm going to adjourn and start consultation and then reconvene. That's permissible to the body, as we have a special guest who needs to get back. So the first speaker, I believe, will be
Senator?
Senator.
Yes, I'm here. You guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Oh, Senator.
Yes, so I understand.
Oh,
you know,
Senator
right,
Peters.
because of this, and it can
Terrible.
be
Terrible.
response with that bill and explain to this. I think it's an important landmark piece of legislation that will allow us to make sure that gun manufacturers are paying their fair share when it comes to gun violence.
What is that word? Fair share.
For too long.
Oh, yeah, still fair shares.
Whether it's here in Illinois, the counties, or the state level, we're dealing with gun violence. But over the last few years, we've been pretty creative in how we tackle gun violence. First, the state of Illinois, working alongside the county as well as the city, created the Office of Firearm Prevention. We were able to put hundreds of millions of dollars into that work, and what we need to do is continue to fund it. And so one way we can do that is by making sure that gun manufacturers are paying their fair share, and that money is being put over to gun violence prevention work. And I want to give a shout out to Dr. Anthony Douglas, who's been doing amazing work, and so many advocates who do amazing work. Dr. Douglas works inside my Senate district at the University of Chicago at the Trauma Center. He sees the impact of violence each and every day. He knows the pain of gun violence, so many communities know the pain of gun violence. And it's time for us to now be creative in our solutions to fight gun violence and to give us the public safety we deserve. And so I just wanted to speak on top of this bill. Just wanted to thank you so much. Thank you to you all at the county for having me, and thank you for taking the help and letting me speak. I have to go speak at a press conference about some other things next around the state budget. And then I'm expecting my first kid, and so I'm going to be FaceTiming into our 32-week ultrasound appointment. But thank you all very much.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you for the time. We'll take up additional public speakers, but this committee will send recess to the call of the chair. Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Back in black.
Back in black. Back history. All right. Meeting of the Transportation Committee will now come to order. I'm the Secretary, you still have the floor.
Chairman readers of your attendance, Commissioner Nye has been present. Commissioner Moore is absent. Yes, sir. Commissioner Zazzle, absent. Commissioner Miller, absent. Commissioner Scott, and Commissioner Vasquez. You do have.
Thank you. Do we have any public speakers first?
We have not received.
We'll begin with public speakers.
We have. Not now, Lori Lee, and then Cindy Norman. And it's to address the body.
Yes, get up out of here. 45 signatures to get you up out for 2026. That's all you need for Thomas Stamps. 45 Republican signatures, and you too can take her spot that you just installed from CTU. Now, Cook County collects several taxes and fees that go into transportation funds. For use, you gotta be still out. But for things that are related to roads, vehicles, parking, right? So in fiscal year 2023, you guys usually take in around 237 million, 250 million a year. But in 2018, y'all took 243 million, so that was the whole transportation fund. I just stole the whole transportation fund that whole year, right? So I know y'all did it in 2019, 2020, 2022, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. That's why the property taxes keep rising, because if y'all stole the whole bulk of the total transportation fund in 2018, I know y'all went crazy during COVID. Because food shut down. So when we hear balanced budget, it doesn't tell the full story. A balanced budget looks at revenues versus spending for that year. It doesn't erase the debt or the misused funds from previous years, and taxpayers are still paying. So that means everybody, everyday Chicago citizens and Cook County residents, the people fixing the roads, driving on bridges, or paying property taxes are still footing the bill for money that was supposed to be dedicated to transportation.
1 minute.
But y'all still is. That's why property taxes are gonna continue to go up. That's why we have to vote red. We have to put the county red. We have to put the city red. We have to start making sure you guys have indictments, because y'all are still, especially over you, Bridget, you over audits. So you looking over here like you can't, like you're shocked. You're over audits.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Operation Rainbow. Cook County most rough.
Cindy Norman is our next speaker.
Racist Bridget. Yeah. You know how you go. Best person I had of audits. Can't count.
Good morning, everyone. Much honor to the council here, and all of the respectable organizations that are represented. My name is Dr. Sandy A. Norman. I'm the founder of Chain Breakers VIP, which stands for Violence Intervention and Prevention. My organization is Life Young Living Inc. You guys can look me up on the website. On my site, one of the reasons why I'm here is because I don't necessarily want to be here, but I have to be here. And so I want to say, this is a room where decisions are made, where laws are, passed. And so this is something that's very serious for people like myself that are actually out in the streets, that are actually out in the communities where violence is going on, where killings and murders are happening. And so I really want to advocate for organizations like mine, grassroots, people that are actually in the field doing work, and not just, work on paper, paper. We have a lot of organizations, they're good at, writing grants and proposals and, writing documentations, papers. But when you look on the street and you ask where are, all of these different people when the murders and shootings are happening, they're nowhere to be found. And I speak truthfully. I honor and I respect those that do the work, but I want to say to the council, I'm here again as a representative. I'm showing up here the way that I show up in the street. I don't have any connections. I have not been given any support. And this is why I'm here, so that you all can know my name, you can know what I do, and I speak for people like myself that are not given opportunities. And so when I hear, the senator talk about University of Chicago, I work for University of Chicago. I know Trump. I'm out there when all of the violence is happening. And I'm asking you, when it comes to funding, even as, I hear the different organizations, I even heard Ms. So bring up about audits. These are some of the things that we need to do. So again, those of you that have the power to make decisions, I question when you all see people like me that come to speak and that ask for help, don't ignore me. If you have, things that you can do.
That's why you gotta vote them out.
That can say, hey, Apostle Sandy, we sit on this board. We can introduce you to certain things. This is one of the reasons why I'm here. People are dying in our neighborhood. And again, the people that, make the decisions, I know that you guys, probably live comfortably, but it needs to be people like myself that are not just actually in the boardrooms, but people that have a voice that are actually out on the street, in the communities, with the people, de-escalating violence, that have to go to the funerals, that have to deal with the families that are often, overlooked. And so I'm hoping to have a conversation with any of you, that want to do that. Okay, thank you so much for my time allotted.
Dr. Norman,
Yes, sir.
before you leave, where's the violence intervention?
All right, well, we're on the street. We're on the street of Chicago, and so I don't have a physical, building per se. I have a location that I'm able to, use, but we're not on the street. We have an office set up on the street corners. We have, I can give you examples. We have just had killings all over in Lawndale, East Garfield. I specifically go to the police. Give me your worst areas where nobody wants to go. And I go and I set up, we set up on the street. We're out there doing 24-hour interventions on the street. So we're really out there with the people. And so I've been asking for help because we know that, there are ways that you can get buildings. But again, every time I try to, get meetings or set up, ask for, intervention, a lot of the politicians won't help me. And then they have, all these different things, people that they invite to the table. And it's almost like gatekeeping where it's only certain people. And then I have a lot of the pastors, they ride right past me and they see us out there where all the killings and shootings going on. And I have to keep going to meetings where these are the same people that sit on boards and they're nowhere to be found in the community to help people when they're dying. And so again, I need a building. We need resources. We need help. And this is why I'm here, because I have a proven track record of doing the work, but we just don't ever get any support because of the gatekeeping. So if you can help me to secure a building, if you can help us, to get a location, we would really appreciate it. But even if I get a building per se, I'm still going to be on the street because that's where the people are. And that's where I want to be able to reach the people to bring them in. So again,
Give phone number and my staff.
yeah, and thank you for allowing me to share. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. All right, Madam Secretary, Commissioner Anaya will now move to approve the minutes of the meeting 26-0731. The approval of the minutes of the meeting on January 14, 2026. Seconded by Commissioner Aguilar. All those in favor of moving? All nays? No nays, motion carries. I'd like for Commissioner Anaya to move to approve items number 260302, 260333, 260335, 260340, 260341, 260344, 260346, 260347, and 260408. So move. Commissioner Anaya, thank you. Seconded by Commissioner Aguilar. The items, following items 260332 is $1.2 million contract. This item seeks approval of the chief procurement officer to enter and execute a contract with Color Equipment in Frankfurt, Illinois. This contract will provide for 4 maintenance bureau districts, this new tractor mower to replace existing units at the end of their life. Item number 260333 is a $3 million resolution. This item is for improvement $3 million in funding of Old Plank Road Trail Extension, preliminary engineering study in the village of Fort Heights, Salt Village, Linwood, City of Chicago Heights. This plan extension seeks to extend the trail from its current Thorn Creek Trail to Indiana State line. Item 260335 is a $2 million resolution. This item is for improvement of a traffic engineering services contract that will provide the county with traffic engineering services, not limited to traffic counts, traffic projections, speed analysis, intersection, traffic control warrant analysis, crash analysis, intersection design studies, and plan preparation countywide. Item 260340 is for $2,709,000. This item seeks approval for a contract amendment with BLA Inc. of Itasca for the Old Orchard Road, Wood Drive to Skokie Boulevard Construction Management Services. This amendment proposes to increase the amount by $2.7 million to account for additional professional services, which the Illinois Department of Transportation, Village of Skokie. Item 260341 is for $2,4902,000. This contract amendment seeks Amendment with R.M. Chen and Associates for 175th Street Construction Management Services. This amendment proposes to increase the amount by $2.4 million to account for additional professional services required for the extended duration, and additional efforts needed to resolve different site conditions. Item 260344 is for a $2 million contract. This item seeks approval of the Chief Procurement Officer to enter into and execute a contract with Jacobs Engineering for traffic engineering services. This contract will provide the county with traffic engineering services for traffic counts, traffic projection, speed analysis, intersection, and traffic control warrants. Contract met all the qualifications, requirement, as well as the MWE goal of 35%. Item 260346. This is for $2.6 million. It's a contract. This item seeks approval for the Chief Procurement Officer to enter into and execute a contract with Civil Tech Engineering. It is for Old Plank Road Trail Extension Phase 1 study. Plan extension looks to extend the trail from its current to Thorn Creek Trail to Indiana State Line and villages of Fort Height. This contract also met the qualification requirements for MWD goal of 35%. Item 260347 is a $3 million agreement. The item is for $3 million for intergovernmental agreement with BNSF Railway Company, where BNSF will be the lead agency for construction of right-of-way fencing to fill gaps where practical, with the aim of fencing between Willow Spring Road, Ridgeland Avenue along the railroad in the city of Berwyn, villages of Riverside, Brookfield, and Grange. This is a Federal Railroad Administration, the associated funding resolution for this project is next on the agenda. Item 260408, it's an $870,000 resolution. This item is an improvement resolution to appropriate $870,000 in funding for West Cook Rail Safety Improvement Project, just discussed, to provide local match for the project. Any questions on any of those items from any of the commissioners? We'll add Commissioner Aguilar, sponsor, on the next two, item 260347 and 260408.
Thank you, Chair. If you could please add me as a co-sponsor for 26-0335,
60335.
26-0344.
The other commissioners, any other questions? Seeing that there are no other commissioners with any other questions, all those in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Chair, please record me as voting president 26034.
2604. Yeah, President. Any nays? Motion carries. With no other items before this committee, Commissioner Anaya will move to adjourn the meeting, seconded by Commissioner Daly, Commissioner Degnan, sorry. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Adjourned.
Nah, I was gonna say, after I get a couple more hit it out, just learn.
Never got a question from
Just her neck and her thing. But she's, as an independent,
Making the legislation.
different. It's just her,
This county board.
she needs like 1,500. 45.
Absent, I believe they are still.
That's how confident they are. We're not gonna win.
Remember, Commissioner Scott, the mayor excused absences for the Casco and voting on.
Thank you, Lenny. We'll continue with public statements.
Already heard from Senator, Representative, those pictures,
aside, Sandy.
and that's weird.
Is like Sandy, they say,
This is already the representative, Anthony Douglas the second.
A,
All right, and then, you have 3 minutes to address the body.
and then my
Thank
name
you,
is.
Chair. Cook County Board Legislative
6 9 9
My
1.
name is Dr. Anthony Douglas. I'm a surgical resident in the city of Chicago. I'm here today to implore the Cook County Board to pass a resolution calling on our leaders in the Senate bill to pass House Bill 3320, Senate Bill 2279, the Responsibility in Firearm Legislation Act. In 2025, Cook County had 2,352 emergency department visits for firearm injuries reported by IDPH. Assuming that all of those individuals survived, that would total a conservative estimate of $2.1 billion in costs, which begs the question, who foots that bill? We all do. The injured, their families, hospitals, health insurance companies, small businesses, local government, and ultimately taxpayers. While Illinoisans pay with their lives and pocketbooks, manufacturers of firearms profit handsomely without contributing a penny to the financial consequences of their products. In fact, not only do they not bear the cost of their for-profit activity with our society, but they also enjoy an unprecedented immunity from lawsuits by our federal government. The Protection of Lawful Commerce and Arms Act of 2005 bars the lawsuits against this industry, except in the case of illegal behavior. Since then, firearms have become and continue to be the #1 cause of death for children and teens, pregnant women, and means by which suicide occurs. Their for-profit activity creates roughly $20 billion in direct and indirect costs for all of Illinois. That is 4 years of college tuition for 1.9 million students. The Rifle Act requires firearm manufacturers to contribute annually into a special state treasury fund based on how frequently their products are recovered in an injury or death. Their contributions vary year to year based on the rate of gun injury in Illinois and the number of products that are recovered by law enforcement. Firearm manufacturers, both domestic and international, will be required to do so for their products to be sold, distributed, or imported in Illinois. The funds will provide additional state funding for survivor services and the community violence intervention efforts that the Cook County CVI initiative has supported. Because of your investments in CVI, which helps fund the quiet, painstaking work that focuses on hyper-local community building, street outreach, de-escalation, and healing, Chicago has had one of the safest years and reached a record low in gun-related homicides that we haven't seen since 1965. But we still have work to do. Aligning the financial interests of firearm manufacturers with injury prevention, safer innovation, and engaging with community leaders like yourselves to prioritize safety while funding the strategies that we know work is the solution that Cook County and Illinois deserves. I still got 30 seconds.
Now you have.
15, okay. The technology to make firearms safer has existed for decades. The means to establish standards and business practices that reduce illegal and interstate trafficking has always been present. The ability to recall dangerous products like those compatible with switches and other lethal additions is there, just like it is in every other industry. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Tim McGrath, environment speaker.
Thank you. My name is Jim McGrath. I am here representing Indivisible Illinois in support of the resolution that Dr. Douglas just spoke about. Indivisible has over 70 local chapters throughout Illinois that support this Rifle Act bill. Indivisible is co-sponsoring and is part of the coalition, and we held town halls across the state in Chicago, Kankakee, Oak Park, Peoria, Champaign, and soon in Metro East. Since Sandy Hook, I have been involved with gun violence prevention. It's for the kids. That's what I'm here for. Firearms are our only consumer product sold in America where the manufacturer is not responsible for the harm and damage that their products may cause. Rifle Act is modeled after the workman's comp. It will require gun manufacturers to pay a license fee to sell their products in Illinois. The fees will then be used to support community violence interrupters. We just heard from the speaker earlier about that. As well as medical bills, victims' medical bills, areas where the federal government has reduced funding. It has nothing to do with controlling guns. It does not conflict with the Second Amendment. What it does is reallocate the cost for gun violence from taxpayers and victims to gun makers. Recently, I was at a meeting where a young lady who was in a car shot in 2006. She was told she was going to be a quadriplegic. She was in the hospital for months. She could now walk with the aid of a crutch. I can't imagine what her bills were. And even if she had insurance, insurance works, we all will all pay on increased insurance rates. This is the most innovative legislation around gun violence that I have seen in my years working on this issue.
1 minute,
I'm sorry,
1 minute.
1 minute, Sue.
I've stopped.
No,
You have 1 minute remaining.
Illinois is leading the nation in this bill. There are other states that will be taking it on. Dr. Douglas is the initiator of this. By Cook County government approving this resolution, it will show the Cook County residents and the rest of the state that Cook County supports continued innovation in gun violence prevention. Or Cook County can decline to support this resolution and continue to require gun violence victims to fund their own medical care, revving up medical insurance rates and our taxes, because that's the way insurance works. Not to fund community violence interrupters, and to fund community violence interrupters groups across the state, which have been proven to reduce gun violence in the city of Chicago and across the state.
And time is
So,
expired.
thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Chairman, we have 2 remaining, Zoe Lee, followed by Sandy Moore.
Gun violence is definitely terrible. So it happens all day, every day, outside and that's stuff. I'm patrol, I need to sit in the military, that's how bad it is. And I don't see nobody walking out for that, I don't see any of the ICE protesters protesting for that or figuring out where all the money is supposed to go to our communities so we can stop doing this genocide in our communities. No one talks about it. None of these commissioners talk about it. None of them aldermen over there talk about it. No one talks about it, but we can sit here and mourn about Alex Antifa credit and Renee no good. We can be out here mourning them, having our kids come out of school during school days, even though they're not proficient in reading and math. They can have them walk out for that gun violence. The gun violence that's happening all on the south side and west side because they think that they're playing Grand Theft Auto in real life. Y'all don't have nothing to say about that. No one knows. No, I don't see an executive order. I don't see an ordinance. I don't see anything about that. That is why we have to vote red, because we need some type of law and order, and that's just what it is. Okay, you have nobody who doesn't care. No one doesn't care. None of y'all care. Y'all haven't cared. Why should y'all care? Don't care about anything. All y'all care about is y'all check that y'all get that we're paying, and then you think you can talk to us any type of way. You can treat us any type of way. Then when we come here, because we're the customer. That's what you have to understand. We're the customer. We're the customer of this, right? So if we have a problem, we're supposed to come to our public service. That's what you guys took your oaths for. That's why you guys did the U.S. Constitution. All of those things. That's you guys decided that y'all wanted to be in these seats. But then people come in here and tell you that what you guys are doing wrong in a nice way. See, I started in 2023. I came in real nice. Now we're in 2026. And now Chicago Fish raised the threat and have y'all feel and y'all talk about us and do little things like this one right here that always does. The reason why Tara stamps, I always go in on Tara stamps, is because Tara stamps allow CTU and the rest of them people, Crystal Garden, to try to make like this funny little commercial thing about us, about Chicago Fish Race. She didn't have to say anything about me. I never ever say anything about her at all, never discussed her or anything because I had respect because of her mother. But she started this. So when I see her, until she apologizes, because she didn't have to say her name at all.
Chairman, time has expired. Next speaker.
Greetings and honor again to everyone, and I'll be quick. Since we're on the issue of, talking about gun violence, as I always say, as I come as a mother, I can tell you that I have a son here in the city of Chicago that was shot, 3 times. And so that's one of the reasons why, as a parent, I don't just come and I talk about gun violence, but when I experienced gun violence and when I lived in the Ida B. Wells, housing projects, growing up, I knew violence. I wanted to be a change. And so I didn't just talk about violence. I started going in the street. I started going to where the young men, are that need the help. On yesterday, I had an opportunity to sit with a friend who has been incarcerated for about 13 years. He's known as he's called a Latin King Prince. So those of you that know about Humble Park, the Latin King, gangs, and so I don't just, reach out to, Black people, let me just say that. But we have youth in all different, minority categories that need help. Their youth, and, when we talk about gun violence, I do believe I'm concealed to carry. So I believe that you have a right, to have a weapon. But I do believe that, we do need more education in the schools. Maybe we need some more different type of, laws, because these children are carrying guns, they're carrying weapons, and they're not educated, about weapons. The difference between the Black community and the white community is that I see that white Caucasian people, you teach your children about, safety, about gun violence, at an early age. We learn gun violence because we have to survive in our neighborhoods. And so education is very important. I do agree that, these assault weapons, all these things need to be banned. But we have to have people that understand the street also sitting at, the tables. And so when we talk about CBI and we talk about a lot of this funding, listen, violence, one of the reasons why violence it decreases when we allow the gangs to kill each other. That brings down violence, because once they all die and they shoot each other and kill each other, guess what? You're going to see a spike in the violence, but it's going to be another generation that's going to rise up and they're going to do the same thing. And so we have to start addressing people that are directly involved in the gangs, which if you're a real violence interrupter, you should have these trusted partnerships and relationships with. And I've been asking, even as I asked Mayor Brooks from Johnson, let's do truces. There are solutions, but we don't listen to the people that have some of the solutions that can really help. All right, thank you for my time. I didn't need to go over.
Chairman, that concludes all of our speakers for this meeting.
Thank you, Lynn. The chair now entertains a motion to approve item 260748, the minutes of the meeting held on January 14, 2026. That motion is made by Vice Chairman Dagan and a second by Commissioner Daly. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Thank you, Chair makes out. Chair will now entertain a motion to receive and file item 260511, the 2025 Ethics Annual Report. That motion is made by Vice Chairman Dagan, seconded by Commissioner Vasquez. And Director King, if you would, take the podium and give us your 2025 update.
Perfect. Good morning, Jennifer King, the Department of Human Rights and Ethics. I am going to join and share my screen. I'll note that I shared the deck, and also a one-page summary of the report. I emailed if you did not receive it, please let me know and we'll be sure. But we can always be sure to follow up to make sure that everyone receives a copy of those. Jimmy, while she's doing that, I'll also mention that you have some lines for this.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Director.
So I'm presenting item number 260511. It's the annual report for the ethics board for 2025. I'll just review a bit about the board. Initially, 5 volunteer board members. We currently have 4 members. Vacancy. Currently, we have 16 DHRD staff. There's one investigator that is dedicated to only ethics. I note that the majority of the staff work on all issues that the department handles, both on the board of ethics side as well as the human rights side. And we have two vacancies. And just flagging that of the 16 staff, 2 of those of our data fellows who support the integrity and accuracy of our reporting. Noting that we're working to build confidence and trust in Cook County government by performing various functions, including investigations, accepting disclosures, providing advice, and then also a number of trainings and guidance materials. So a few accomplishments from FY 25. There was an amendment to the ethics ordinance, section 258, which relates to the definition of doing business. Actually, there were a few to the section of 258, as well as a few others, including the definition of doing or done or doing business. This aligned with the revision or amendment to the procurement code, bringing up the threshold, the financial threshold for those who are considering doing business with the county to $25,000 over a 4-year span, up from $10,000 previously. Also increased efficiency via our case management system. We've been able to track and respond a bit more timely to inquiries and requests for advice. Right now, we have a 6-day average response time for appearance. One of our goals, which I'll get to later, is to reduce that response time to an average of 5 days. Trained 10,339 Cook County employees. That is a 240% increase from FY 24. There are a few reasons for that. One, our annual training that's conducted via online module is normally taken by our offices under the president as well as the Forest Preserve District. This year, we had a few additional offices participate in the annual training, including the Cook County Board of Review, Clerk of the Circuit Court, and the Cook County Sheriff's Office. I'll note that all have a completion rate of about 85% or more. We will be posting and planning an in-person session for anyone who did not complete that online module. And also we completed prohibited political activity training for the Cook County Clerk's Office in person as across their different offices. And finally, we issued new ethics resources, including guidance related to social media usage, usage on county funds, as well as some updates to our website and a new prohibited political activities poster, which we have available for anyone who would like to have those. I'll note that these are some of the references for some of the changes. On the left is the prohibited political activities poster that we have made available for everyone to have posted in their offices. Some of the changes that we've made to our website to make it a bit easier for people to navigate to the resources that they most need. And then also that social media guidance that is also available on our website. And a few things about a few data pieces. So for FY 25, ethics increased, pretty standard with the majority related to disclosures, and that's related to the disclosures that are filed for either dual employment by our elected officials, disclosures related to gifts, things of that nature. Same with our staff opinions, that was issued in 25, pretty similar to the last fiscal year. The majority of the questions are related to gifts, and particularly the acceptance of gifts, whether it's an item or attendance to a conference or training. And then a few of our goals for 2026. I noted earlier in reducing our response time closer to a 5-day average mark. The goal is, of course, to continue to encourage our officials and employees to come to us for advice proactively. Strengthening our resources, including more guidance material that will be available on our website distributed via email for reference. And then finally, enhancing our opportunities for ongoing and organized training. So we increased our the offices that participated in annual training this year. The goal is to increase it further across all Cook County offices and departments and agencies, and also to develop some additional trainings in the interim, whether it's a lunch and learn on a particular topic. Also, we are always going to information office and present on a particular topic area or a general pressure for the
Questions? Roger. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Here go further questions. Motion on the floor is approved by 260511. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Item 260634 has been withdrawn and requested sponsor for the Chair will now action vote to approve item 260672, close the resolution supporting the responsibility. Oh, that's right. I forgot. I'm actually going to propose this and then I think what we have on the receipt. So I'll have it moved and then we'll. Chair will enter a motion to approve item 260672, close resolution supporting the responsibility of firearm legislation or rifle act. That motion will be made by Vasquez as amended in the errata. My apologies. Seconded by Commissioner Anaya. So we have a speaker on this issue. Commissioner Vasquez. And Commissioner Anaya is the second.
Thank you. And Lois Love is our next. Yes, I'm Lois Love. I am representing Wage and Peace, which is a team of the Faith and Action Committee at First United Church of Oak Park. I live in Oak Park, but I worked on the west side of Chicago for a number of years. And we are really tired of the deaths and the struggles that survivors have made with gun violence that has affected our lives. And so when we see the rifle bill, it really is a creative way of addressing issues, helping the gun violence, the gun manufacturers and the gun communities take some responsibility. And one of the things, the way it works, like workers' comp, it begins to prompt the gun industry to begin looking at safety. They want to contribute less and less toward this. They don't have skin in the game. And so we will see changes in how they behave in our communities. We also feel like what will happen because of that, the costs will go down for Cook County for the Medicare that we have. And the with also those interventions and funding of the CDI in the community, we'll see that there's less and less of the damage to our own friends and neighbors that we care so much about. So I highly recommend that the county act as another sponsor for this bill so that we can see those impacts for the Cook County and for the state. Thank you.
I'll address this briefly and then if any comments from the floor, Commissioner Trevor starts. I want to thank the individual, particularly the individual, I could focus my attention, but other thank you. And of course, Senator Peters and Representative Olacall, who are the sponsors of this in-house. This is a resolution. We are not able to pass this on our own. We're just going to tell the legislature. We're going to suggest to the legislature. We think this is a great idea. I want to thank the president who is now headed as a sponsor to this legislation. We are often handcuffed, I think, in our attempts at violence prevention. As the speakers related, it's something that it doesn't look like we're doing as much about as we'd like to. And a lot of that's because we don't have control of a lot of these issues because the legislature in Washington has prevented us from legislating and limiting a lot of this activity. And I can tell you that the guns that are being used on our streets, most of them aren't from here. They're from red states that don't very limited restrictions on the purchase of firearms. I've often said on this body, I was born and raised in Central Illinois. I'm just a small town farm boy. And my first shotgun when I was 12 years old, I believe. But I recognize that weapons of war, particularly large magazine handguns, cause enormous damage. And Cook County probably is in the forefront of treating those individuals. Thank you to the University of Chicago who does it as well, but we're probably number one in Stroger and in our trauma centers as we attempt to respond to this. And by the way, this issue is not in my district. It's not happening in the northern suburbs. It's happening in other parts of the county, and we are not able to do as much as we should. And I give kudos. And the mayor gets a lot of criticism. But we've had a significant drop in gun violence in the city over the last year, and I think it's because of the policies of this board and of the city council and Mayor Brandon Johnson, and I thank you.
Oh my God.
Thank you. I've been And I just want to say that, there's a limit to what we can do, but we can do this. Now, I'm sure that in our.
Send messages.
We'll deal with that when we deal. And I know that there's still some horse trading going on in Springfield, because we got to get the downstate Democrats to go with this. I'm a downstate Democrat and I'm with us, so let's get this done. But, again, I thank the sponsors and we'll first hear from Commissioner.
Thank you, Chair. I also thank those who spoke on this, in particular, Louisville, Illinois. I've had conversations with on this very issue in the past, and I'm very proud to be a co-sponsor of legislation. One of the things that has always outraged me about the gun manufacturers has, I keep on bringing them up in my own mind, the analogy of the Takeda airbag recall, the product that is designed or it's intended to save lives. But manufacturing defects, they've been held liable. It's one of the largest automobile recalls in history. And still, net, those airbags have saved far more lives than they have damaged. Nevertheless, I agree with the fact that they should be held liable for the defects in their product. The types of guns that we're talking about here, these are products that are designed to kill people. They're designed to do damage. And they have immunity from being held liable here. This is a way of addressing that. This is, as some of the commenters have said, this is a way to get gun manufacturers to have some skin in the game in order to make it in their interest to design, market safer products. This has imposed enormous cost, both financially and as well as emotionally and socially on all of us. And there is no current incentive for manufacturers already. We hold airbag manufacturers to the standard. We hold food product manufacturers to the standard. We need to hold. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan, and then Chairman Daly.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for bringing this, and thank you to Indivisible Illinois for being tenacious in all things that you do, in particular this. You know, so many things I think in today's day are politicized. You know, we politicize the environment, the Republicans and Democrats. These things should not be political. We all want to breathe fresh air and drink clean water.
Yes.
Making clear, understandable regulations is the only way for us to move forward as a civil society. That goes the same for responsible gun ownership. And I think this is just a small corner of moving that forward. I think more change needs to be made. I think we need to depoliticize gun ownership. The Second Amendment is very clear that we're allowed to carry guns, but it was not considered several hundred years ago that semi-automatic and automatic weapons of mass destruction were on the table. And so we need to move forward as a civil society as we understand it and how to protect not just children or the most vulnerable, but everybody. So I thank Indivisible, thank you, Chair Brennan, and thank everybody in Springfield who is willing to move this forward. And I believe that we need to look at this as we think about who we're voting for in Congress, to make sure that they believe this on both sides and move it forward and block.
Chairman Daly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'm happy to join in this resolution and urging these elementary companies to address this issue. You referred that there is some work to be done in Springfield, and hopefully we will get it out. I want to thank them as well, and the speakers for joining. So, but I know you mentioned Sandy Hook, and quite honestly, we look back and think that when if we can't pass that legislation, anything's been bad, the baby's being killed. It is a domino effect when people are shot, no matter where they are, for the families, mothers, the fathers, the sisters. It affects everyone. Oh, not only the individual, who may be going through surgery or whatever, but their siblings who are also facing it, if their brother or sister or parents are in a terrible situation. So I'm happy to support this. Thank you for your leadership. And it's been all members from the room again.
Need to add all members in the room. All present will be added. Our Commissioner Scott is also added to the roll. Commissioner Stamps. And then Commissioner Wright.
Thank you for raising it up. Thank you, individual Illinois, Senator Peters, and you, Scott Britton. And we know, we talk about, I remember I was on the front desk at NBC National when the calls came in for Columbine. And you think back all of those years, like nearly 30 years ago, 30 years ago, and how many deaths of children at schools, and on the street in communities like mine, have happened since then. And I know that we cannot do everything, but that what we can do, we should do. So thank you for this legislation.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you again. I want to echo my colleagues. Support this legislation. Guns are probably number one cause for death for many youth, and we have to take responsibility. So, and also not specifically.
Thank you. Anything further? And again, I want to thank this body for taking this action. And as I've said multiple times now, there's some things we can do and some things we can't. This is, I think, the least we can try and do to make a change. And so it works. Chair will now carry this motion, which has been already moved and seconded 260672 is amended in the errata. All those in favor of adopting said resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. In the chair, the ayes have it. Thank you again for everyone, including those from the 14th district who came here to address this issue. I appreciate it. There being no further business for this body, motion to adjourn by Chairman Daley, second by Commissioner Nye. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. In the chair, the ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Your comment?
All right, yeah.
I was thinking, just the guy told me he ran
Stanley.
so he told me to talk to you. He said, the one with Scott. When I feel like
We're trying to get you money.
yes, can you have a call?
I do.
Oh,
So Dr. Douglas is the founder. You might want to.